And people always talk about is cash flow more important or the appreciation? I would almost always choose cash flow. A business is something that until you really get into it, you really do not know how it's going to turn out.
Ben is a former Wall Street trader and a current investor with 25 years of experience in residential and commercial retail center real estate in the East Coast and the South. He also has acquired, managed, and sold businesses while being a supportive husband and a father to 4 children. I'm very excited to have you, Ben, and welcome.
Thank
you
you
for being here.
Very happy to be here.
I want to start the conversation by going back to your early days in investment and your career. You're a formal Wall Street trader and also you worked in semiconductor industry. How did your experience in those industries shape your long-term investment approach?
Very tough question, but my finance industry experience and my career at semiconductor chip trading company was that I was a high performer, and later on I was put on a pretty high compensation plan. So that really put me under a lot of stress and pressure to perform. I made pretty good money, was successful, but when I moved to another job or was about to quit and go into my own business, I didn't have any equity left. It was good while it lasted, so to speak. So that's why my motivation was after my corporate career, I wanted to go into a business.
I see.
And I did. As I started to invest in real estate, I realized that real estate is the one to hold long term because business, obviously, you have to work at it constantly.
Right.
Or have a great general manager to carry out the business for you. It's not an easy situation to duplicate, but with real estate, you could really achieve almost passive, approach to holding an investment. So I think that's how my thought process went. And I'm still working on making it more and more passive.
Got it. That's all our dreams, right? Making
That's
that
right.
passive.
Right. But I want to warn you, you as a real estate investor yourself, you know that there is nothing passive,
For sure.
even in real estate.
Right.
It is another form of work, but one that you could really manage and then you could make a difference if you worked at it.
Do you mind sharing what you hold right now as a real estate investor in your current portfolio?
Sure. I have a few single family homes for rentals. I have a few townhomes and condos. I also have a couple of commercial building, mostly multi-tenanted retail center. Currently, I am developing a land in Georgia. It's a ground up development to make it a small bay warehouse concept. And I have limited partnerships in real estate syndications and a few businesses here and there.
I remember a few weeks ago you were considering like 1031. How is that going?
Yes, I actually sold one of my single tenant property. I closed on it about 2 weeks ago. I'm
Okay.
under a lot of pressure to a 1031 exchange. I have not been able to identify any replacement properties yet.
Mhm.
I am working on a few. One of the property that I'm looking at is a 13 unit multifamily. It's very stable. It is fully rented, but there's a couple of things to do to raise the rent to a market rent, sort of a value add project, 13 unit in Charlotte area. I'm looking at that. Another one that I'm looking at is there's a shopping center that this company is trying to acquire, and I'm going to be one of the limited partner in that deal. And I will put my 1031 into that as a tenant in common. It's a technical term, tenant in common ownership.
What does that mean?
It is a limited partnership, but
Uh-huh.
I will have my LLC as one of the owners of the project, a little bit different from syndication.
Got it. Did you decide to invest in the land? I think that's the apartment complex that you were talking
Right, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. Actually, today happens to be the day that I gave them a formal official email saying that I am on board with purchasing.
Okay.
It happens that I am going in with the 50-50 partnership with the founder of that home building company.
Mm,
So I brought him on as a 50-50 partner. Who can be a better partner than him? I mean,
right.
he's the one who's running the company. So
Yeah.
he knows the products. I was very happy to be able to get that done.
Awesome. He knows ins and outs. Congratulations.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
We'll be signing a contract soon.
Uh-huh.
I think the project will be delivered most likely next October or November of 2026.
Okay. I will email you then, following
Yeah.
up how you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, with decades of experience in commercial and residential real estate, what are three factors or metrics you focus on when acquiring real estate?
I guess there are many, many factors when it comes to acquiring a property. First and foremost, it's really a cliche, but it's really location, location, location. If a location is in a prime location, you will have to pay up, but that's really worth it because when it comes to renting, when it comes to repurpose it or to sell it later on, location is the most important factor that next buyers will look at. Location is something that the tenants would be looking at.
Right.
Location would be something that your business tenants will be looking at. So location by far the most important factor. I think the second one would be underlying tenants' credit quality is very important to me because I've owned few houses that had like a rooming tenants, renting it by room, and the tenant quality was not that really great. I had the hardest time managing those properties. Even if I had a property manager helping me, I ended up managing the property manager and the tenants.
Right.
So I ended up selling those properties after 3, 4 years of ownership, but otherwise I would have kept them. Quality of tenants are very important, even for commercial. You want your small mom and pop tenants to be able to perform in the business so they will have no problem paying the rent. I would say the third most important thing, especially for those who are beginning into this game, is a cash flow versus appreciation. People always talk about is cash flow more important or the appreciation? I would almost always choose cash flow because cash flow is guaranteed. It's there already. Appreciation will probably come with the time, and you could do certain things as an owner to add value to your property. Then you could force the appreciation that way. I would look at cash flow first. And if it cash flows today, it will probably cash flow in the later years when the interest rate goes down.
Right. So location, the tenant pool, and cash flow.
Yeah.
How about when acquiring a business?
When it comes to a business, I think, is it something that you could manage yourself? Is it something that you could learn or already know how to do the business? Say like I own a restaurant. Can you do all the stuff that my employees are doing? All the way to manage the whole thing. And even if you have a general manager doing the job for you, you are the ultimate spare tire. Is it something that you could jump in and do the work? And obviously, you want a business that is already generating some income. In investing, I think you could categorize it as broadly two types. One is momentum investing. Second is a value add or repurposing. I almost want to recommend anybody who wants to get into either business investment or real estate investing is that you go with the momentum, meaning that there's already a cash flow from the day one, either in business or real estate, and you could build on it. It's very difficult to build from a negative cash flow situation.
That cash flow can also be your power per se, or it can give you some room.
Yeah.
If your job is not doing well or you have family concerns that you have to focus on, like other things that can happen in life, that cash flow can really be a cushion too.
Right.
You mentioned that you sold the property that was renting by room and it was difficult to manage the property manager and also the tenants. What makes a property or a business that make you want to hold it versus to sell?
I think anything in the prime location or has a special feature, amazing skyline view of a high-rise condo, for example, or a waterfront property that has a beautiful lake view, even then you will be in a situation to sell one of those. But those locations cannot be duplicated. The view, the central location, or a nice family home in a very good top school area, those things you cannot move it. Those properties I would like to hold on to if I can.
I am just thinking like Manhattan views and like ocean views, like lake houses. That's why those houses are popular.
Yeah, I own a uptown condo here in Charlotte. It's on 29th floor. Supposedly, my unit has the best view within the building, even though it's only like 36th floor condominium building. We have the best view. And I've never had a problem renting.
Awesome.
It just rents in 2 to 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And most of the tenants, they just sign the lease with the listing pictures. when they saw.
They're mesmerized with the picture, the view.
Yes, and also before they sign the lease, I encourage them to at least do a video tour with an agent or the current tenant. So it's been working out, not because I price it cheap, it is a market rate, but because of the view, it just rents by itself.
What do you think about condo investments? Because many investors are opposed to it. I want to hear your thoughts.
At my juncture, where I am now, I would not invest in a condo. But for a new investor, maybe condo or townhomes where maintenance that falls on the shoulders of the owner is less because there's a HOA association that takes care of those things. But you're gonna have to pay up by the means of charge every month, which will be there forever. So you have to think about that. But it'll be easier to manage, obviously. So I still own a condo in Jersey. I bought that in 2004 and I still own it. Because it's a condominium, I hardly have to do anything. If there's a repair issue, I just send the local handyman.
Has the HOA gone up a lot since 2004?
It has, but that condo, I think it doubled.
Oh, I see. So
But
worth
it's
it.
still very moderate. But if you own something in coastal area or in Florida, I think the fees have really doubled or tripled the
I
last
see.
2-3 years. So it depends on where you are.
You mentioned the land that's developing and 1031 there you're looking at. What assets or real estate you're most excited about currently?
One thing that I'm really excited about is the land that I'm developing right now
Uh-huh.
in Georgia. I'm trying to do a small bay, what's called a contractor garages.
Okay.
So think of it as a self-storage plus a small tenant. So not really a storage, but it's a like 1,500 to 2,000 square foot space. And I could build probably close to 25 to 30,000 square feet.
Okay.
The typical tenants would be your home service contractors, landscapers, the painters, electricians, plumbers, HVACs, a body shop. It could be Amazon reseller, eBay reseller who need a showroom and room for inventory. It could be small office. It's a flex space. A lease term that's required, depending on the lease rate, is 1 to 3 years. Rent rate is pretty moderate. It's very affordable. I know right now the demand outstrips supply.
So is there like a separate area for storage and where people live? Or are they like all mingled together?
No, a typical space will have a workspace where you could pull your car in or your truck in
Oh, I
and
see.
have a very small office and then a half bathroom, concrete floor and the wall and air
Okay.
conditioned.
I can now imagine. Yeah.
It is a small warehouse, in other words.
I see. And the tenant pool that you're going to draw, you can build a house with them.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm really excited is triple net single tenant property. Usually these buildings are single tenant, right? National credit tenant, like your Starbucks, Wendy's. If you go big size, then you're talking about Home Depots,
Wow.
Bank of America. I really looked into that investing. I would have to say that is one of the most passive way to hold real estate. Because usually these setups come with a national tenant that's credited. They pay top dollars because usually they go into a top locations. And I would say the majority of the lease terms are such that tenant takes care of everything, including roof, structure, parking lot, landscape, and of course anything that's inside. It's called the absolute triple net. And that is like the most passive investment you could have as a landlord. But ultimately, I decided not to do it myself because I am still a small investor. I have limited resource versus the tenant being a national company, a few $1 billion companies that have a separate real estate division. I think when it comes to renegotiating the lease terms prior to initial term expiring, I wasn't confident enough to have all the tools in the shed to really negotiate well against them. They might use some tricks to scare small landlords into like renegotiate the terms. They could use a dark clause term, they could use an early termination clause. Even though they know it's not gonna work if we end up at a court, they could at least try because they have manpower. It could be very profitable in investing and very passive at that. But instead, I decided to invest that portion of capital into a real estate investment company who specializes in triple net single tenant properties. This will be the passive of the passive investing way.
I see.
And I interviewed half dozens of them. I'm actually flying out Austin, Texas next week to
Okay.
spend some time with them.
Is this like a stock, like REITs?
Yeah,
Or
it's like a REIT, but it's not. It's more like a syndication. It's a
I see.
different form of a syndication.
Yeah.
That company being a general partner and investors like us be a limited partner.
I didn't know that you could invest in triple net like that too.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until a few weeks ago. So
Wow,
I'm still learning, you know?
interesting. Thank you for letting us know.
Sure.
So you thought that single tenant big companies like Starbucks that we all know, there is a risk associated with getting the top dollars monthly.
Mhm.
How do you manage risk in your investment?
That sounds like a simple question, but the answer can be very complicated. I think you have to mitigate risk when it comes to investing in anything, but in real estate, you really have to play the game of leverage well. I would advise to put at least 25% down payment on any investment. When it comes to commercial real estate, you are forced to put down at least 25 to 40%. And the banks know that's their way to mitigate risk, right? So you have to put down enough down payment because you don't know if the interest rate will go down or up. Economy will continue to struggle or boom or go into a bust cycle. So if you have enough equity in the property, you are somewhat shielded from a liquidity crunch. Another way to mitigate risk is I would have to go back to location. If you're in a good location, it doesn't matter how bad the real estate market is, you will always be able to find a buyer. Have some reserve, obviously. Now, for your audience who are already doing this or thinking about getting in W-2 job, and then you want to go into investing of some sort, whether it be real estate or business, please hold on to your W-2 job as long as you can. That is your safe harbor.
You already went into the question that I was going to ask
Yes.
you. So I'm also a W-2 employee who is building my business and who want to grow it. How would you advise people who want to make cash flowing stream while holding on to their W-2 and having that income?
This is what I advise my son-in-law, who is still a W-2 federal employee. The way to do it, I think you have to do your best in your job, but allocate your time and energy. Start with the ratio of a 90-10 split, 90 being on your main job, 10% being on your venture, and slowly increase your time that you pour out on your venture, whether it be business or a property investing. Just continue to do that. You have to hold on to your job because that's what pays the bill. But if you want to really build up your business or real estate, you have to make sacrifice. You got to work after work. You got to put in extra hours, weeknight, weekends. You just have to sacrifice your time and energy to build up your business. Pretty soon you will see if what you're doing is making sense from point of profit and loss. And you could make a leap over to your business venture when you see the result. Now you're at 50-50 and now you're making more money here and you enjoy doing this more. If you just quit your W-2 and just delve everything into your business, you could make a bigger difference in a positive way. Then it's time to do it because you already have income generating here. But
Right.
before that happens, don't quit your job.
Don't quit your job. It's a very feasible and realistic advice for people who want to create that income. You mentioned your son-in-law, and I wish that more people can realize that that's possible for them. You don't have to
possible.
Quit 100% and then make a 360-degree turnaround to have business or buy real estate.
That's true. Especially the side venture that you are going into, if it doesn't require signing up of any kind of lease or having to take on a large amount of inventory, or if you don't need to hire an employee to run it, then it's all your effort, your body, your hours, and a little bit of your money, then go for it, right?
Do you know or see any commonly made mistakes when people try to do the steps you laid out, like 10%, 90%, 20-80, and growing like that?
Some people, they have their W-2 job, pays the bills, but they hate it or they don't see a future in it. And they see a really good prospect of a business they could go into. But business is something that you really do not know how it's going to turn out until you really get into it, unless you buy a cash flowing business that's already established. that you are paying up premium to get into. Even then, you might be buying a wrong business. Some people, they just jump ship without really preparation and have reserve. I'm not saying that all of them will fail, but I see some people do that and end up losing on both ends.
Right. That's something that we really should keep in mind. Don't jump
Yes.
in like right away and have your reserve.
Yes.
Emergency fund.
But someday I will hear from somebody saying that I did the exact opposite and I became a billionaire. So
We all have different stories, right?
right.
I think luck plays out in it too.
Yeah, luck has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You were raising 4 children and you adopted your son later in life. What were the joys and challenges in doing that? It doesn't have to be related to investment. I just want to know how it was.
I guess raising 4 children are not easy. The way our life have evolved, it just really involves around our children. Now they are almost all grown. My youngest son is joining the army soon.
Oh, wow.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. Pretty soon we're gonna be empty nesters. But to get to the point where we are, it hasn't been easy because me and my wife were on the same page as far as raising our family together. That's what sustained it. It's been nothing but a real blessing and still raising our children.
You give a lot of credit. I hear and feel the love you have for men.
Yes.
And you described her as onion. I thought that was very sweet. When a couple gets older together or known each other for many decades, you maybe not interested in each other. That's the impression that I got for many couples, and I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And it was very loving to hear that from you.
I appreciate that. I am very lucky, and so is she. We do have a lot of passion for what we like doing. We're not looking at each other and wondering what he or what she is going to do for me. She has her own area of interest, which I respect. Recently, it's been YouTube podcaster or YouTuber, and she really enjoys doing that. All the things that she has tried to do is not only to satisfy her desire to do whatever it is, but to help people, to empower people, to bring benefit to the community. I really respect that. Stuff that I like doing is investing and working and managing business and networking. Sometimes she says, why don't you stop? We have enough. Why don't you just retire? But then she knows how I am, so she doesn't nag about that. She gives me a lot of freedom and the room and space to do what I do best, which is to make deals and investing.
So you've accepted each other's interest and passion.
Yes, but it wasn't always like this.
Give me some tips.
Tips, I guess you just have to accept that you have to respect what each other's want to do in their life, in the frame of a family setting, obviously. As long as you do your basics, plus whatever the hobby or the interest or the passion you want to go after, you have to support each other.
Just out of curiosity, do you talk about investment with your children?
Yes, I do.
And are they also passionate about it?
I would have to say only my first one and my youngest.
Okay.
And the middle 2 children, they're kind of relaxed about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my first one and my youngest son, Elliot, they are really into it.
I was curious when one of your parents is interested in investing in real estate and managing business, whether that insight and experience gets transferred to your children and next generations.
I mean, my father was a businessman.
Oh, I see.
He was somewhat successful when I was young, but he failed in every business that he put his hands on, pretty much. I think I do have the spirit from him when it comes to owning business and things like that. He never really inspired me by talking about investing and business.
Your children can learn from you too.
I am really trying to get them into a position of getting to either business or property investing by themselves. First one is already doing it. And the rest of the children, we'll see. They're still very young.
They still have some time.
Right.
Since you have experience in commercial and residential, for people who are debating between those two, what would you like to tell them?
I would definitely start with residential side first. In any sports or in any business or in any investing, we have to remember that it is a team sport. It is so true in commercial real estate. Most people, I recommend that you have a partner. whether it's an equity partner, you have to have a support team already established if you want to buy into a commercial real estate. I would start with the residential, something simple that you could learn on the go.
Is it because residential, you think the learning curve is smaller, or as a way to build your network?
Yes, I would have to say learning curve is very short if you try. Worst thing you could do is you could move in yourself if you cannot find a tenant. I mean, if it's in the area where you could live. It's also true in a single tenant property. If you buy a single tenant property and if it ever became vacant, if you know how to run a business out of there, it really mitigates a lot of risk. That's something that is kind of an exception when it comes to commercial real estate. If you know how to run a business and make it profitable, you could do the space yourself as a backup plan.
We talked a lot about real estate today, but also you have acquired, managed, and sold businesses.
Yes.
What would you like to advise people who want to buy a business? You said about cash flowing, it would be great if it is generating income at first.
Yeah.
But what would you tell them when they first are getting in?
When it comes to business, I think you have to love what you will be selling. I think whatever the service or the products that you're selling, you have to know that product, or you have to force yourself to learn about that product and services. Because you, as an ambassador of your business, customers or the counterparts will feel you out almost immediately. If you really love what you're selling, you will be successful no matter what you're selling and the service that you provide.
The businesses that you bought, is it because that you were interested in the items that were sold, or because you understood that industry?
The very first business that I bought it with 3 other friends. We didn't know what we were doing. We just jumped into it. I ended up buying out everyone, and I was the only one that was left. Even then, the business condition was very tough. I somehow persevered, and I was blessed with the good result after a few years, but the first few years was very, very tough. The second business that I acquired is a fast food franchise. When I first ate at that place, I felt this is the business that I wanted to get into. I do not know how to cook, but I sure know what good food is. I sure know what good service should be as a customer. In that sense, I felt like I had the expertise to create an environment where customer will be happy coming in.
So you can be in the shoes of customers and think, would I be spending my money in this business?
Exactly.
You mentioned that you had challenges in your investment. Where do you think your current success comes from? Where would you like to credit it to?
Multiple factors, really. I've been very lucky, but I think the luck comes to those who really try and who have laid the groundwork, foundation over some period of time, either connecting with the right people, networking, delving in and doing research and studying. And when an opportunity comes, you almost know it is for you. When I saw the second business that I ended up buying, it's a food business, I just felt it in my spirit that this is the business that I had to get into. It's very hard to explain, but I just felt it. Also, when it comes to real estate investing, I have really accumulated successfully with a lot of cushion with the big down payment. And I really didn't have to worry about tenant turnover or evictions and things like that because I only bought into a nice school area. And I think that gave me a lot of good foundation over the years. And then from there, I could delve into a little bit more risky arena of real estate investing, like commercial real estate and limited partnerships. A lot of it, I think, you still have to put in a lot of time to start a foundation and then maybe hit for doubles and triples.
Establish a good foundation and build from
Yes.
it. But is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you'd like to share?
I guess investing and owning a business is not for everyone. Some people are just made to be a W-2 salary compensation. And some people do really quite well. Some of the friends that I know, they work for Fortune 500 companies. They've been there 20, 30 years, and they end up retiring with millions in the retirement package. Those things happen, not for everyone. But if you truly believe in your spirit that you are a business person or an investor, I say step by step, you have your plan. But before that, you want to set the goal where you want to be, whether it be dollar amounts of a cash flow that you could get, and reverse engineer to what you need to be doing today in order to achieve that goal. If you feel it in your spirit, you just go for it.
That's great advice. Have a goal, have your North Star, and go from there.
Exactly. You said that well.
But how can the audience connect with you online?
Email would be the best way. bhuh77 at yahoo.com.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for having me today, and thanks for listening.